Hey, welcome back everybody to the only Magic the Gathering and Elden Ring Fusion channel. Yet again, I am Kurt.
And I'm Renard. Here we see what it looks like when Elden Ring and MTG Legends planeswalk into each other's worlds.
And as always, we're hosting a full double feature.
Today we have an exciting episode. We're going to be talking about the one and only Star Scourge Radhan for the Commander deck, and our recusant will be Alela, Artful Provocateur.
Awesome. And in the second half of the show, watch Alela gear up for real-time combat in the lands between.
Well, let's talk about everyone's favorite general. Let's head to Caelid and meet up with Radhan.
Before we begin, allow me to paint you the full picture. General Radhan is cursed ever to wander. Eaten from the inside by Melania's scarlet rot, his wits are long gone. Now he gathers the corpses of former friends and foes alike, gorging on them like a dog. Howling at the sky.
The revels begin! The celebration of war! The Radhan Festival!
And welcome back. Here we are just outside of Redmane Castle in the wastelands that is Radhan's battleground. We're here to talk about Radhan.
Not just Radhan, Star Scourge Radhan.
Star Scourge Radhan. And who's our man of the hour?
Well, Radhan has a lot of titles and names, and you'll find, spoiler alert, in Elden Ring you're going to see Radhan in varying forms. But the one I chose to go with was probably the most iconic one, is Star Scourge Radhan, what you fight in the main game. So, the big, imposing, crazy general that fights in the field. I found no better commander than Radhan of the Fomori.
Oh yeah, this is Radhan, and I love the way you translated it.
This is an old school commander. For those of you who are like, I've never heard of this card, you got to go back a ways. But Radhan is a Jeskai commander, so red, white, and blue. Go America. He's a giant warrior, 7/7, and has one ability. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose an opponent at random. Radhan, or Radhan, attacks that player this combat if able.
I couldn't have picked a better one myself.
I did play around with looking for a Naya commander, something that had green, just to try to represent the immensity of his size, but this was just too good to pass up. I mean, the artwork is gorgeous. I like this whole set was kind of like Alara based, actually, with that style of art, because Kresh was another commander. Has similar art style.
Well, Jeskai is a really good color for him too, and we'll go into that, right?
Yeah. So I think red is probably the easy description for Radhan. Obviously,
all the rage and just constant attacking. And
yeah, it's combat oriented, lots of quick interchangeable buffs, and some interesting cards that we'll throw in there to kind of help increase his ability. The white is an easy callback to his days when he was not the mad raging beast that he is when you fight him. He was a general, obviously, so he was able to command troops and did fight against the one and only Melania.
Yeah, his prowess as a commander in battle is renowned, especially by Jaren, who we'll talk about later. Is like his hype man, and the art I really like too because we reference his big battle in his wasteland.
Yes, it looks like he's fighting just a bunch of tarnished and other heroes that have come to basically die.
But I think my favorite part about this is when you talk about the blue aspect of what Radhan has, because he has his gravity aura and his gravity magic, and the blue is such a good representation of how much effort he put into that.
Yeah, because he did study underneath the Grayscale people. I forget what they're called now. The Onyx Lords, that's what it was. God, I don't know why it was escaping me. He was trained by one of the Onyx Lords, and he did master gravity magic, which is pretty impressive for a guy that's just a brute of a warrior to be as big and immense as he is. And then all of a sudden you fight him and you find out, oh, he can sling rocks and do a lot of crazy things with gravity. But there's also a very key, important piece that kind of touches back to his white side.
You got to be talking about Leonard.
Yeah, we have to talk about Leonard. Radhan's trusty steed, the one and only Leonard. He learned gravity magic, one, because it makes him stronger, but two, so that in his immense size, because the boy just keeps on growing, so he could ride Leonard into combat.
So for Leonard, who do we have?
So Leonard, the scrawny steed, but trusty as well. We're going to run Keleth, Sunmare Familiar. Simple 2-mana 1/1 legendary horse. So it has partner, but that's irrelevant for this point. And then has whenever a commander you control attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I like it because Radhan really needs to be the centerpiece of your attacking portfolio. All of these extra pieces, like Kellis Sunmane, they do a good job of just helping, not to mention representing Leonard as a piece. So I like the fact that he's able to boost Radhan somehow.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get them down kind of going on curve, your commander's going to swing as an 8/8, basically, so you can't really go wrong there.
Yeah, and it's funny that it's white, too, because we were talking about how he has the white Radhan has the white to show the capacity of his general as a war general, but we've also got his deep love for his horse. So the white can also represent his deep care for animals.
Yeah, and so Keleth was just an automatic, easy inclusion. If only they had partner. You know, if Ruhan had partner, it would be perfect.
No, it's a really good ad.
Yes, I love it.
So what do we got next?
Next up, you mentioned him, Jaren the Witch Hunter, played by Baloth Baratul, Entertainer. Much like Jaren, we're here to entertain for the Radhan Festival. But this is a mono red 5 mana 2/5 elf shaman. It says creatures your opponents control with power less than Baloth Baratul's power are goaded, and whenever a goaded attacking or blocking creature dies, you create a treasure.
And obviously we know how strong treasure tokens are.
And they're very well liked.
But not just that, it's the fact that this is the hype man we were talking about, Jaren. He's leading that circus, but in this case it's a festival.
Yeah. And the deck itself, my deck list, when you look at it, it's not built to kind of go crazy on the goad aspect. I did think about playing more into that, but it just wasn't working out the way I wanted it with this deck because there's a very specific theme that will come up. But even if you don't buff him and he just stays at 2/5, you have a commander or a legendary creature here that can pretty easily disrupt certain deck builds that you're going against. And there are some cards in there for sure that you can use to pump on him and, you know, goad your opponent's creatures that have power, 4 or 5 or so. Either way, you should be causing at least enough disruption, and it should look like a chaotic battle that it is when you fight Radhan.
So I always like it when you add cards that work in lore-wise. That's the whole point. But what's fun here is that he is fun, and he makes this deck more fun. Goading and control are actually a Venn diagram of sorts, in my opinion.
Yeah, it definitely plays pretty nicely. And like I said, I like things that kind of disrupt the game a little bit, and goading can definitely throw off, your opponent's strategies somewhat. And if they are attacking each other, that means it's a little easier for your Ruhan or Radhan to pick somebody at random and go swinging in without any type of resistance.
Yeah, and another good thing about Baloth is he's another power-based person. So we've got a lot of stuff in this deck that boosts Radon, quote-unquote, right? But we can always put that on Baloth and go to town. Next thing you know, Baloth is a 12-5, 12-9, whatever, and everything that's 11-0 or 11 and under is goated. So you can always pivot from Radon to Baloth as necessary and put him back on Radon once the chaos has been ensued.
Yeah, because this deck very much plays like a Voltron build, which, I mean, you would have to expect that when you're playing Radon. You come to fight him one-on-one, well, as a group against Radon. But yeah, so that Baloth is just representative of Jaren.
Perfect, Jaren.
Next one, I personally love this one. There wasn't a whole lot of people until, again, here's some spoilers if you haven't gotten to the DLC in Elden Ring, but there wasn't a whole lot of correlating associations for Radon as I was building this deck, and if you base it off the main game. But when you get into the DLC, you learn about General Gaius, who is kind of like the big brother to Radon, although not physically.
So let me put the card up here. It's definitely Tori d'Avenant, Fury Rider. And at first I thought, because this is a Dominaria United card, and a lot of those are underappreciated, but this works particularly well for your breakdown as Gaius.
Yes, so 4 mana, 3/3 Human Knight. She has Vigilance and Trample, and whenever Tori d'Avenant Fury Rider attacks, all other attacking creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Other red attacking creatures you control gain Trample until end of turn, and untap each other white attacking creature you control. So in a Boros shell, this is just a solid card. But what I really liked about the flavor of this card representing General Gaius is that both General Gaius and Tori are essentially handicapped, because Gaius is one of the Albinaurics, so he does not have use of his legs.
Yeah, and those of you who don't know, the Albinaurics, they actually built them like version 1, version 2, version 3, and so on, and Gaius is high up on the end, is basically a perfected Albinauric.
Yeah.
But his legs still don't work even in this heightened condition.
Right. Which is why he has to ride his boar into battle. Much like Tori, she is also handicapped, and that's why if you look at the artwork on Tori, they actually have a harness built for her to ride her horse into combat because she has no use of her legs. Which, this is just a great design card for, I think it helps represent people that have a handicap for Magic. It's a good throw there.
Yeah, it's a great pick because I can see Gaius on the horse again. Yeah. Or in his case, he has a pig.
Yeah. Partner Pig. Yeah. Trust me, we know about Partner Pig. He's coming. They don't. There's no name to the pig that I could find in the lore. It's just Gaius's partner. So Partner Pig will be represented by Ilarg the Raise Boar.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to call that the Warhog.
Yeah, it is. He is the Warhog. This is a 5 mana 6/6 mono red boar god. It has Trample. And whenever Ilarg the Raised Boar attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. Return that creature to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. And then it also has whenever it dies or is put into exile from the battlefield, you may put it into its owner's library, third from the top. This is a fun card. It just represents the pig.
Yeah, no, it straight up makes sense. It actually has a 6/6 tagline for 5 mana, and that alone tells me, well, that's an overpowered pig, right? And that's exactly what we've got with Gaius.
Yeah, it's a fun card, and the ability for it to just kind of slam down random creatures as it attacks. I mean, the pig is kind of included with his gravity magic when you fight Gaius. Trust me, spoiler alert again, it's a pain in the ass to fight him. But it's a fun card.
It is, and it works well, especially with the gravity magic. We can see that thing has a green aura around it, but it looks like it would fly around with Gaius.
Yeah, it's just a nice flavor throw to there. It's not super powerful in my personal deck that I put it, but this was more about flavor and just showcasing, those specific cards. Because like I said, this is a Voltron-esque deck. But at the end of the day, if you can put something on the pig, it's a 6/6 with Trample. You make it bigger, it's going to do what you need it to do.
Yeah, he sure will.
And then the last creature to kind of talk about the flavor of Radon and his posse, I guess, is Sir Alan the Lion's Claw. This is a mono white 5 mana 4/4 human knight, has first strike, And whenever it attacks, other creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Again, this is just a major flavor throw. In Elden Ring, this is actually representative of Redmane Knight Olga, who is another one who was kind of like the, I guess you could say, the little brother in the Gaius and Radhan trifecta, but also studied gravity magic and is the knight that you end up fighting against at Castle, not Castle, Fort.
Jail. Yeah, it's super interesting that you make that the chosen person in game that you're representing, the knight outside of Fort Jail, because when you go inside of that Fort Jail and you defeat the lion inside, you know, the one with the blades that come down and swipe at you, you actually get the Ash of War lion's claw.
Yeah, I think that's what it is from in there. And the lion, it was lion's claw, the lion's claw. I mean, it's all flavor. The Redmane Knights are represented by a flaming lion on their crest, so it was just an easy include. And like I said, if you end up building the deck with more creature base and trying to go wide with it, Sir Alan, Tori, they play really, really well together with just constantly buffing your army and doing what traditional Boros likes to do.
Yeah, again, like we talked about with Jaren, we talked about with Radhan, it's all about the attack power being higher to give you some kind of benefit for later as well. And this, again, gives you another chance to do that.
Yeah. So, he's just another good addition to the troops. Now switching over to more flavor of what makes Star Scourge Radhan who he is. This is an old card, but I like it. It's very simple. The artwork is pretty cool as well. It's Aggression. It's a 3-mana red aura. You enchant a non-wall creature, gains first strike and trample. At the end of its controller's turn, destroy that creature if it did not attack that turn. Which doesn't mean anything to you. Basically what this is 3 mana, enchant Radhan, he gets first strike and trample.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And it works very well in the terms that we have the aggression of Radhan. Yeah, he is overly aggressive.
Yes, I mean, he's literally killing everybody that comes into the field these days. Friends, foes, it doesn't matter. It's amazing there's anything left. Next one, Awesome Presence. If you have played Elden Ring or have seen the trailers, you know about Radhan and his Awesome Presence.
Yeah, it as a one blue, so it's just 1 mana to enchant your creature, which, surprise, surprise, it's going to be Radhan in this case. It just says that enchanted creature can't be blocked unless somebody pays 3 colorless for each creature that's doing the blocking, which essentially means unblockable.
Yeah, especially because you have that randomness of the attack, because Radhan is going to be choosing an opponent randomly to attack. So, in a sense, if they're really, really worried about it, if you've got some powerful stuff on it, someone's going to likely be trying to hold up 3 mana just in case they need to block with a creature.
And I know you know me, I love the cards that actually represent in the title what they're doing as well. So Awesome Presence, it just reminds me of that purple aura glow and the purple magic that Radhan uses to show you an awesome presence.
Yes, because he is massive. Like, when you first fight him and he just rips the swords out of the ground, you're in awe.
Yeah,
you really
the
are.
Awesome Presence really...
Hey, are we invaded?
Are we?
Check this dude out.
Oh, that is...
I didn't even...
You guys are so chill.
And so sneaky. Yeah. Didn't even know you invaded.
Hey!
What's his name? Or her?
Ramen Diablo. Bloody Finger Ramen Diablo.
Hey.
It appears they want to do one-on-one. Maybe?
Hey, you want to take him or me?
Oh, I'm definitely not cut out for this.
Okay,
I'm just here for a good time. They're pretty good with the rapier, or not the rapier, oh my god, what do you call this thing? It's a scythe.
Well, he's hitting you. Okay, do we not have a one-on-one?
Well, I think he got tired of me throwing knives at him.
Oh yeah, you shouldn't throw knives at people when we're having a one-on-one.
It seemed entertaining to me. I really just want to try one thing. I really don't care.
But I wonder if my storm can go through it. No, it cannot.
That poor rock got him. Well played, Robin.
Good game. Good game. Wow. Nice. All right. Good fight. That was a good one. So we were talking about awesome presents. We were enchanting Radhan
Yes.
and making him real scary.
Yep. I mean, like I said, like you pretty much said, it almost makes him unblockable. So it is what it is. Then 2 cards to really represent this one.
Let me put this out there real quick. Just a little nugget for everybody who wants to guess. It's Radhan's middle of the game attack. What card would you use? I'm gonna give you about 3 seconds.
There's a lot of options. When I was looking, there was a lot of options.
That's why I wanted to do that. But you picked what, sir?
I went with Star of Extinction. It is a 7 mana, red and sorcery. It says destroy target land, and then Star of Extinction deals 20 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. So Radhan has an amazing ability to basically turn himself into a meteor and come crashing back down and wiping everything in the board. And this card is a very good representation of it.
Yeah, I think it works, but I like the next one better.
Yes. So, ironically, as I was going through the deck list, this is coming up at the showcase. It was as the Final Fantasy set was released, and they created Ultimate Magic
Meteor.
Yes, and I don't know anything about Final Fantasy. Let me just throw that out there. But the card was super cool, and I think it's a little more flavorful than Star of Extinction.
I like this one a lot better. It didn't exist like 3 weeks ago, so.
Right. But this one is a 6 mana red sorcery, and it says Ultimate Magic Meteor deals 7 damage to each creature. If the spell was cast from exile, for each opponent, choose an artifact or land that player controls, destroy those chosen permanents. So it lets you get a little bit more removal, significantly less damage across the board, but it does also have foretell, so you can just pop 2 mana early on and let it float out in exile, and then cast it later on when you need to.
Yeah, this card, we've seen the damaging effect before, like you just said, the Starstorm, but we have what's the 1-drop? It costs 9 or something. Blasphemous Act. We always have Blasphemous Act, but in this case, we're getting just the 7 damage, so it doesn't seem quite as good, but then you add in that choose a land, choose an artifact thing, and this card becomes a lot better. And then they slap foretell on the bottom of it, so you can do some shenanigans with it too. I'm all about it.
Yeah, it's what I like about it is it kind of represents 2 parts of Radhan's lore, in that Star Scourge Radhan is so powerful with his gravity magic that he's actually able to suspend the stars in their orbit, so they don't move anymore. And so when you do actually progress the game, and if you beat Radhan, there is a singular star that comes crashing down to Earth later on after you fight him that progresses the game again.
Yeah.
And so this kind of represents that, as far as, having something that is floating out there.
Yeah, and it's a fun card.
Yeah, I think it's really good. And then Assault Suit. It's not really much to say, obviously, but
Well, I think there's plenty to say, because this is one of my favorite ones in here. Let me do it then.
Speak for us.
Yeah, we've got 4 colorless drop on Assault Suit. It's our artifact equipment, but it gives the equipped creature +2/+2 in haste, and can attack you or planeswalkers you control, and can't be sacrificed. So at first you're thinking, what's going on here? What's all this extra text? Why can't it be sacrificed? So you look at the next text, the next paragraph. It says, at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you may have them gain control of this guy and attack. Untap him and attack. So this is letting you attack somehow. Radhan is attacking not only during his turn, but during everyone else's turn. So I happen to really enjoy this card in this deck.
yes, it does represent his actual armor in the game, if you want to make the comparison. And it, like you said, it just increases the attackiness. And it does actually narrow it down, because when you then pass off from your turn and give Radhan to your next opponent, Your other two opponents now realize there's a 50-50 chance they're getting swung at.
And that's why that line of text can't be sacrificed is so important in this particular case.
Yes, and him jumping up to a 9/9 just based off the assault suit alone, I mean, commander damage is going to become a thing in this Voltron deck. It's just going to be a bit more chaotic, but like you said, it swings it around, pumps him up.
Oh yeah, achieving the goals for sure.
There will be bloodshed. Similarly, Nemesis Mask is used to represent Radhan's helm, which is pretty iconic in the game. I know we've come across, we've come across multiple invaders that are rocking that famous red hair and horn helmet. You know when it's there. It is a 3-mana artifact equipment that says all creatures able to block the equipped creature do so.
And that's it. That's a simple line that does exactly what we're looking for.
Yes, so this is where I tried pushing for green, is because green has all the lure effects, and I really liked the idea of using the lure representation simply because everybody is lured to Caelid to fight Radhan.
Yeah, I'm so glad you got this added in and didn't get hung up on the green. And to be honest, I like the Jeskai breakdown of him.
Ruhan was just too good to pass up for the comparison. But this is a card that, I mean, you slap it on, you're kind of at the pinnacle of Radhan-ness at this point. Like, the flavor is there. You're going to swing at somebody randomly, and all their stuff is going to have to block, which, that's what the festival's about. And then moving on to the final piece.
Let me do this one. The Starforged Sword. Let's get it up on the screen. We got 4 colorless mana from, what was it called with the little animals? I love that set. Bloomburrow. Thank you. Yes, Bloomburrow. It had the whole gift mechanic, and the whole gift thing is typically it's almost nothing. It's so little what you give away. In this case, we're giving away a tapped fish, so you can give somebody a 1/1 fish and you get the extra effect of whatever the card is. And I've seen so few that I don't like. But this one reads, when it enters the gift, if the gift was promised, then you get to attach this pretty good sword right away. And then +3/+3 and loses flying is, I think, worth it for giving away that 1/1 fish.
Yeah, and again, this is a big flavor thing because the blade itself, the artwork depicts like the crag blades that you will see Radhan use when he's fighting, and it has the Ash of War you can get in Elden Ring. And, giving him +3/+3, he doesn't have flying anyway, so it's irrelevant. It's basically 4 mana, give somebody a fish and slap +3/+3 on him, but hey.
Let me bring this up, though. I'm not usually an artist guy. You're the one, but I have to shout out Mark Poole for this bird. Look at that bird. He's gorgeous.
No, he does good artwork. I actually met him at one of the Magic Cons a couple years ago.
Oh, that's cool.
And then this card. Starfield of Nyx. This is where we get into why I chose Star Scourge Radhan rather than Consort Radhan or just a generic Radhan.
4 colorless, 1 white.
Yes, so this 5 mana white enchantment has at the beginning of your upkeep, you may return target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. As long as you control 5 or more enchantments, each other non-aura enchantment you control is a creature in addition to its other types, and has base power and toughness equal to its mana value. The reason I went with this is because, as the lore goes, Radhan used his gravity magic to suspend the stars in their orbit.
He's a powerful gravity wizard. Yeah.
Yes. He is. So this card, obviously the star field and the representation of stars and Radhan's ability can't be miscounted. But this deck is chock full of removal that is going to help placate to this. So
we're talking O-ring effects.
Yes, we are talking the one and only Oblivion Ring for the removal.
Yeah, to work with the Starfield of Nyx.
Right, because I know you were thinking there's not really any enchantments in this deck other than aggression and awesome presence, but those are auras. So let me tell you, there is. Quarantine Field is the main one that I chose to represent, just because, in a sense, if you could think about it, Radhan puts up a quarantine field in the night sky holding all the stars.
He holds them back.
Yeah, and in Magic, there's not really a lot of things that represent gravity magic other than like some land destruction cards that show some rocks being
I think
flung.
this was a much more fun way to take it.
Yeah, I've always liked the idea of playing around Oblivion Ring effects because you start smacking enchantments down, it gives you some interesting things. And when you think about it, having the ability to control and manipulate gravity, Radon could technically just bounce a person into the air if he wanted, or fling them away. Yeah, I mean, he can suspend a person. If he can hold a star, I think he can hold a person.
I think that's really fun. That's why I say I like this effect better. And then when you're talking Starfield and Nyx, now we're turning all these O-ring effects into even more of an arsenal for you towards Radon's army.
Yeah, and so this is where it kind of gets... The deck has some more support in this regard, where you start getting enough of these O-ring effects down, removing key cards from your opponents. And when you look at my deck list, I chose not every single O-ring effect. I only chose the ones that have the ability to hit non-land permanents, because I wanted to have the least amount of restriction so you could hit whatever threat is out there.
Versatility is more powerful than mana cost.
And at this, so most of them with this, you're going to end up having 3/3, 4/4 creatures running around.
And before we get off of Starfield Nyx, I have to bring up the art in this one because it actually reminds me of the Underground.
Yes, actually, I hadn't even put that together when I was looking at it.
Yeah, that was a happy accident.
Yeah, it does. So yeah, between that, Quarantine Field. Yeah, I'm sorry, we didn't even read Quarantine Field. Somewhat older card, but it's 2X and 2 white.
So let me clarify. That is X, X again, white, white.
Yes. And so when it enters the battlefield with X isolation counters on it, when it enters for each isolation counter on it, exile up to 1 non-land permanent and opponent controls until Quarantine Field leaves the battlefield.
Presto. The biggest O-ring you've ever seen.
Yeah, there's a couple other ones that are pretty good at hitting, like one, like Grasp of Fate can do 1 from everybody, and
I love Grasp of Fate.
it's a very good one.
Yeah, we should definitely add that one.
Yeah, there's so many, but you're just gonna... My deck list is just chock full of them. Is what you're doing. And then additionally,
Let me do this one.
I know you love this.
Lord of the Rings. We all love Lord of the Rings here at Castle Soul Ring, but I want to particularly show my love with Raise the Palisade. It is a 4 colorless and 1 blue for a pretty significant sorcery. In this case, choose a creature type. What are we going to choose?
You're most likely going to choose giants, but you have giant or warrior, so...
So Radhan, we're going to pick one of his types, and we are going to gravity bounce everything up in the air.
Yes.
And then we are going to attack unfettered.
Yes. So you just choose a creature type, return all creatures that aren't that type to their owner's hands.
I'm so excited this card is in this deck because it actually shows him using his gravity magic and bringing it up.
Yeah, and so I went back and forth between trying to play more of the O-ring effects and then using like bounce effects too. You can do both. You can do whatever you want, obviously.
Yeah, it's just guy shenanigans and it's a fun time.
Yeah, there's because no matter what in the story of the game, when you beat Radon, eventually the stars do return to their orbit. Things happen. So I mean, the bouncing, the exiling until it's gone, that's all temporary and very on theme with how Radon is in the game.
Agreed.
And then the last one, this is the first time I've actually threw a non-basic land into this segment, but I'll probably try doing it more often. But Meteor Crater was too obvious to pass up. It's an old land that just says, tap, choose a color of a permanent you control, add 1 mana of that color to your mana pool. So it's just a land that taps for any of your 3 colors when you have Radon on board. But, play that how you will.
Yeah, and again, the art is very significant in this one because you can see Radon in his wasteland.
Yeah. Just little tiny Radon. Just first meteor he's practicing.
First land was worthy to make it.
Yes. And then the last one, Fomori Vault. This was a kind of a weird one, but I couldn't pass it up as I started reading into it. I went down a deep dive into the lore.
Yeah, if you could explain that for me, because I was getting the hang of it, but you did such a good job explaining it. I don't even want to mess you up.
So, Fomori is... It's a throwback to what an ancient giant alien race that's come up in Magic's lore. It hasn't really been talked about too much in recent years, and Ruhan was the last card to even have Fomori on it in title. So for this to be Thunder Junction, all of a sudden we have the Fomori Vault. It's kind of weird. I did some digging.
Like those aliens put that here a long time ago.
Right, and it's not from the same plane because Ruhan and those giants were from the plane of or Ir. It's IR. And obviously this vault exists on another plane. But looking at the lore, it's come about to people's knowledge that there was what's called the Coin Empire currently. That was this giant alien race that traveled the multiverse in different ways. And we've been invaded by Bloody Finger Trev.
Yeah, we have. Let's go get ourselves a good fight. Oh, I see him. Or her. Or them. We see you.
Oh, I see you too. He's looking at me. He's got those axes, I think.
I think I'm gonna buff. Yeah, I like that axe. He's not a panic roller, which is good. That was a good fight. He was putting up a good effort. I like it.
I couldn't really contribute to that.
That's okay. I think we needed a little more evasion in that fight. We just traded until we took damage.
Trev, good job. Good job.
Yeah, good fight. Look at this beautiful sky. Ooh, want to get some Erdtree in there?
Yes, the blood was shed this night. But as I was saying, sorry, Fomori Vault. This land taps for colorless. You pay 3 mana, tap it, discard a card. Then look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Put one of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. I like this one because in the deck, it's really just a pseudo tutor on a land.
We have a lot of artifacts in here, right?
We do. You're going to be playing. So again, showcase it how you will in terms of how many artifacts or whatever you want. But even just going off of the main cards, you're going to have a good chunk of equipments in there. And what I did to kind of help solidify this and add a little more flavor is I'm running all of the artifact lands that I could run in this color combo, which
so yeah, we're talking indestructible lands, Seed of the Synod, all those.
Yeah. And so I think there's seven or eight that are in the deck, which just kind of help buff up on top with your mana rocks as well, that pump up the number of artifacts that you're going to have on board. So you're probably going to be looking at, on average, somewhere about 7 to 10 range.
That's fair enough for this card.
Yeah, I mean, to pay essentially 4, discard a card, look at the top 7 to 10 to pick one card to put into your hand. It gives you something to do and it helps tutor up. But a little Elden Ring relation to it as well is Radhan is now in Caelid, which is completely devoid of most organic things thanks to the Scarlet Rot. And the only thing that has left untouched is the stone ruins that exist. So I kind of like looking at the artifact lands as the stone ruins that are strung out about Caelid and getting a little bit of benefit out of them.
And the best thing this card does is it gives us one more excuse to talk about the Fomori.
It does. It does.
Let's hope we get to see some more of them in the future.
I'd be very interested to see.
What's it called? Edge of Eternity is right around the corner.
Yep, that is, so far we've seen it. Some space-like stuff. There could be some Fomori just running around.
I heard a lot of people hating on that set, and I'm kind of excited. I want to see what they bring to the spacefaring stuff, and if we get to go see the Fomori, I'm going to be happy.
Yeah, I'll come around. I'll come around if we get something like that.
Well, I think it's time to go to Untapped Potential.
Yep, let's do it. Here we are back on the mountaintop of the Giants inside the Guardians garrison. We cleared out some of our friends, but we're here to talk about untapped potential. So a little bit old school, a little bit of new school.
Yeah, speaking of old school, first card, we've got Field Surgeon. It's a 2-drop spell, 1 colorless, 1 white, It's a 1/1 creature, a human cleric. Now this is a pretty cool card because a lot of cards require you to tap it to prevent a damage, but some of these old cards don't have that restriction. So in this case, you can tap any old untapped creature you have. It could be one that just came out or one that's been around. It could be done at instant speed as well, like typical tap abilities, but in this case you can tap all of them to, as long as you can block with one creature and they don't have trample, you can negate pretty much all the damage.
Yeah, and I've seen you use this card to a very potent effect in your cleric deck, which is primarily like a creature-based turbo fog, but it does work, you know, because just preventing a little bit of damage can be just enough to keep a few creatures alive. And if you're running a white weenie style deck or any creature-based deck for this card, you can easily just keep tapping some extra resources, prevent a little bit of damage. And a lot of newer cards don't come with that whole damage can't be prevented clause anymore, so it's kind of becoming relevant again. It just depends, you know, on obviously your play group, but it's an effective card and it gives you a free tap outlet.
Yeah, I actually had a card or a deck from Thunder Junction. It was the Wily Duke. It was a Selesnya card, and he wanted to be tapped to be able to gain a life and draw a card. And if you can combine that with some kind of untap effect, you got yourself a super winner here. So this is going to be good in all those kinds of decks. The newer cards they're just not built like the old cards.
Not built like they're used to. In some cases, that's good.
And speaking of new cards, we've got, what is it? Nibelheim of Flame, I believe.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know anything about Final Fantasy, but I think that's pronounced right. But I do love this card, and I love this showcase art for it. So Nibelheim of Flame is a 4-mana red sorcery. It says choose target creature you control. It deals damage equal to its power to each other creature. If this spell was cast from your graveyard, however, discard your hand and draw 4 cards. And it has flashback cost of 7. I love this. It's like the first new iteration of Chandra's Ignition that I think they've printed. And to reference, Chandra's Ignition is a 5-mana red sorcery that basically says choose a creature you control. It deals damage equal to its power to each other creature and each player.
But in this case, it says just each creature, I believe.
Right. And so I know there's been a lot of comparison of the two cards, kind of like which one's better, which one you prefer. Honestly, if you're running one, just run both. Like, if your deck is built to do it, which I have this in the Radhan deck that we talked about, and it's beautiful. Like, it does work. It's, if you don't have any buffs on Radhan as it is in the deck, it's 4 mana, deal 7 damage to each other creature. And if you flashback it, you're going to get basically a new hand with that draw 4 section. But it's great, and one of my favorite things about this card and Chandra's Ignition is if you can put it on a creature that has lifelink. Oh my god.
Yeah, that would be a great mix. And I'll tell you what actually sticks out a lot for me is the bottom text of the card has flashback, and 7 is a bit, but sometimes you run out of cards. This card not only gets you more cards, but lets you do the flashback as well. So if you're barehanded, you can just cast it from the graveyard.
Yeah. Flashback's a good mechanic.
Anywhere.
Oh, by Bloody Finger Radhan? Are you kidding me?
That is on theme.
The man, the myth, the legend. I feel like you have to let him win almost, but
I don't know if we have to go quite that far. Let's go meet. Actually, I don't know. It's pretty cool up here in this area. This is a pretty neat place to fight.
we have a whole castle to ourselves.
Let's just hang out and wait for them to come to us.
And I swear to God, once again, if he doesn't come in, he doesn't even look like Radhan. What is this?
There he is.
I'm sorry, Bloody Finger Radhan, I get you're a fan, but that's, what is that, Godric's Axe?
Yeah, that's not a Radhan.
I expected better.
All right, is he teabagging us?
I think he's teabagging something, or he's kneeling.
I could jump off. I wonder if I could survive that.
Oh yeah, you can survive.
Yeah. Would I have... Okay, all right.
Do it.
Yeah, I got to. Oh, no, he doesn't want to fight.
What is he here?
I don't know.
He attracted the dog. He attracted the dog, and I do not.
Okay, yeah, he wants to fight now.
Not anymore, he doesn't.
I can't get this dog. Oh, you got it. Well, and you got the dog.
Guia Drondihada is here for one person.
Hey, thanks.
Anytime, anytime.
Well, I guess we're doing the show from down here now.
Big woman coming down. Hold on.
Speaking of Nibelheim aflame, there it is in the background.
That's beautiful. It is beautiful.
Anything else about Nibelheim?
No, honestly, I think, like I said, it's a great card. I think running that with Chandra's Ignition, especially in this Radhan build that we talked about, it's great. You can go crazy with it.
Hell, that means it's time for my favorite part of the show.
Yes, indeed.
Let's go look at some invasions. And we're back with some fresh new invasions for the episode. The lady of the hour is going to be Alela, Artful Provocateur.
Yep, the Esper Fairy.
Yeah, she's going to be a great combatant to watch because she is a trickster fairy poker.
Yes.
And she's full of all kinds of nasty little tricks.
You want to break her down? You want me to break her down?
I'll break it. Let me start it off. We had, since, if you look at the artwork for Alela, Artful Provocateur, the one from Throne of Eldraine, she doesn't actually carry a weapon, and as far as I know, Alela doesn't have a specific weapon that she's known for.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so we had to be a little more creative with how we went with Alela, and in this case, we're gonna actually reference other Magic the Gathering cards in terms of fairies to see what they do. So cards like Fairy Fencing, Fairy Duelist, and Una's Blackguard, they all give us one single trait, and it's fencing.
Yeah, I mean, fairies are very small, obviously. So I think the most common weapon that's depicted amongst them in Magic's artwork is using a rapier of some type or some small sword.
And in this case, we have the Frozen Needle.
It's very neat. It's a very neat sword.
Yeah, it actually throws out the tip of ice and regrows it as soon as, or redevelops it as soon as you send it out. And so with the pokes and prods that fairies like to accomplish, I felt comfortable using the Frozen Needle, but I also needed something else too to kind of finish it off, to kind of make it a trickster character. And that would lead us into, how would we put a counter spell into Magic the Gathering?
You mean Elden Ring?
Oh, I'm sorry, Elden Ring from Magic.
I'll say Magic's got a couple counter spells.
Yeah.
But you are right. Using the parrying is really the only way to really counter anything in Elden Ring. Thop's Barrier is kind of a counter spell to like projectile magics. I wish there was more defensive magics in Elden Ring, just to be perfectly honest, like a Thop's Barrier that I just had to hold for a second or two until it broke. But using the parry is really appropriate.
Well, to represent the parry, we're actually going to have to use the Mind Gouge. And that happens to share the moveset with the rapier. So if we L1, you see we get the power stance move. And that's pretty awesome because we've got the parry on hand, ready to go. And so we're actually going to use Spell Stutter. Spell Stutter is a 2-drop spell, 1 colorless, 1 blue instant, and it says counter target spell unless the controller pays pays 2 plus an additional 1 for each fairy you control. So it would go along in any kind of a Alela deck.
Yeah, you got the fairy tribal aspect of it. It's a solid counter spell. And but another thing I just want to mention with the Alela build you have here on Elden Ring is the Frozen Needle. Fairies are known for being very tricksy, and so, I mean, if you just take it at a nutshell, the rapier, you know the moveset, it doesn't do anything different. except for that strong attack shooting out the needle, which does give you a lot of added range, and it helps build up frostbite more with the power stance of those dual weapons, and then including frostbite. You can start dealing a lot of damage very quickly.
Oh yeah, and since we're here, we might as well look at it. We have mainly a caster, so I like to use the casting increase or damage increasers, but in this case, since we're power stancing the 2 rapiers, we're going to use the Rotten Wing sword insignia, and I always like to have a little extra poise on with a character with this kind of weak armor. It helps keep your combos going. But with that being said, how about we check out the first invasion? And here we are in crumbling Fair Missoula.
It's like your favorite place to invade.
It is one of my top for sure.
And it is good. The map is awesome. The whole citadel just being torn to bits and everything.
Well, here you can see we're running across the fields trying to catch up. It looks like their phantom had died not too long ago, and I'm just trying to make my way to him. So we'll throw on a little extra defense buff and put our physic on and go to town.
And this is, if I remember right, this is Ronin that you're fighting against?
Well, he's definitely got 2 miladies, one with bleed and one with frost on, and it is whipping my tail every time I try to go in for a frontal assault.
Yeah, Milady is probably my favorite sword in Elden Ring, and dual wielding them is just, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it turns out well really with those two burst damage effects. So here we go. We got to stop getting in his face because it's not working. So let's turn to magic.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are kind of like, honestly, you're playing the same play style almost. It's just you have obviously more magic to it, but the Milady being a light, a long, what is it, great sword. It's essentially a great sword in length and somewhat in damage, but it moves so fast because of its weight.
Okay, so now we're starting to dance a little. Trying to do a jump attack with those power stance and rapiers because you get a pop, 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 3 hit out of it. That's where that rotten insignia would come into play. And you'll see it activate in a minute. But it's hard to get these spells off. That should have hit. Okay.
You're definitely doing it. This build is very, I don't want to say defensive, but you're not gonna do a ton of damage, so you really got to pick your targets and just kind of poke and prod and be really patient with whatever you're dealing with.
Yep, you can see the triple attempt.
And once you get that frostbite, then you really start to get a lot of added bonus there, and you guys are going blow for blow almost.
Oh yeah, and there it is.
See that Trixie thing, just little frozen needle off.
Absolutely good fight.
That was a beautiful fight.
And you can see how Alela, with her pokes and prods, can get in here and there for a little bit of damage, and it adds up quick, especially with that quick night shard.
Yeah.
Okay, that was fun. Now we got a second build to use Alela to do some invasions.
We're invaded by Bloody Finger Ropes.
That was fast.
He does not want to see part 2, apparently.
Yeah,
or
we're gonna go after. Let's see, already invaded. They've got to come from down here, right?
I think that's where the last one came from. Oh,
Yeah,
I see them.
He's right. They're right there. They look like they're wearing the. Oh,
He's gonna throw something.
see that? You want to just go down there and fight?
I mean, sure.
All right, dude.
I think that's what he wants as well. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Give a little bow. Oh, some buff. Don't. Oh, I don't have any buff. Why did I just get hit?
There's a little wizard behind you. I'll deal with him.
Okay, we came down for you. You don't want to fight us? Okay.
Oh, okay. I'd say I'm going to play fair with this, but I just don't.
smart. Oh, he's gonna go get friends. Dang it.
Oh, I mean, he is here. One lonely man. In a big, big world. Where's you flying around with Alela?
Yeah, it was.
We can pin him in a corner. We can do one of my favorite combos for this boy.
What's he throwing?
He's throwing
The pots.
a person after your own heart. I love throwing pots.
Yeah.
Leave me alone, stone bastard.
He's right behind you, and he's about done killed me too with the... Yep, he got me. Good fight. Good fight.
Oh, leave me alone.
Alright, we're back from the dead.
Yeah, that was a good fight. A lot of territorial interference by all those wizards up there, but we
He
we
played
got
it right. He played it right. You go get some help when you're against two pros like this.
Yeah, hey, no, it was good. It was good.
No, we're not even close to pros. We're just two guys having fun on the
You
internet.
know, I almost died to that little mage outside.
Well, let's go into the build before we get invaded again.
Yes, why are you holding a scythe?
The scythe. We actually needed to represent some flying for Alela, and I thought, man, Loretta's slash, what a great move, and it really kind of looks like it. That's a fun build for her.
Yeah, again, the scythe is neat because it is able to get around blocking characters, so it's, again, kind of a little tricksy way to get some damage in continuously.
And the hyper armor is really good.
Yes, I did see that as you were messing around with it, that it, despite the fact that it looks like you put yourself at a disadvantage jumping up in the air like that to, fly for a momentary, it holds really well. I mean,
It actually avoids a lot of attacks with that altered stand.
yeah, because it gets up there, and so the elevation's good. It has pretty good range, and obviously the scythe does its frost buildup and bleed, so...
But let's talk about what it would be in Magic.
Oh, yes, I know the card that you were using was the Malefic Scythe. Somewhat of an older card, but 2 mana for a black artifact equipment. It will deal, when it enters the battlefield, it puts a soul counter on itself, and then the equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each soul counter on the scythe, and then whenever the equipped creature dies, put a soul counter on Malefic Scythe. Equips for 1.
Now, the fact that we've got a lot of fairies running around in our Alela decks can make that useful, but it's really more for the aesthetic purpose. It looks pretty cool, and it kind of looks like the one in Elden Ring. So we'd like to use Malefic Scythe to represent that. But we've also got the Grave Bird's Black Quill armor, which this was a stroke of genius. My wife thought of it, and it was Magic's Paradise Mantle.
Yes, which is a pretty common equipment to use for a lot of different combos and any Cheerio based deck, but it's a 0 mana artifact. It's colorless. It says equipped creature has tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, and it equips for 1. And the artwork does have a very similar feathered cape kind of look that appears to split just like the armor you're wearing. It's just rainbowed instead of black, but it's a solid card. I mean, obviously you got the right look. I mean, I really love the look that you have for Alela. I was honestly, again, very surprised that you chose to go with Alela, because I was like, wow, Alela, artful provocateur.
Well, we wanted to make sure that the artful provocateur piece came through as well, so she had to have that sexy value, and I think that the Gravebird's armor really worked for it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely
It's
looks...
her wings that didn't get to come.
Yeah, it looks the part. Obviously, you can't fly around in Elden Ring just yet, but I like it. And both the Scythe and the Paradise Mantle also play really well with using Alela as a commander if you choose to do so, because it'll make you a fairy when you cast those spells.
Yeah, and it's a fun build altogether. I knew it was going to be fun, though, because I loved building Alela, and I enjoyed playing Alela. So invasions weren't going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at that invasion.
Yeah, let's see how this works.
Okay. Made ourselves available in the Forbidden Lands.
Looks like we're dealing with a Radhan samurai.
Yes, we also have a Rivers of Blood, at least one. And it looks like it could be a Moonveil, but I'll let you know now, spoiler alert. It's a second Rivers of Blood. And we got caught already. And then we got a second one.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, let's get out of here. Alela's not built for face-to-face trade-in blows kind of build.
No, like I said, you gotta be tricky like a fairy. You gotta take your shots and just kind of poke and prod a little bit. You're not gonna do tons of outright damage, but that's I really love the spells you chose to use as well for this build.
Yeah, it just worked. It just worked out with that glintstone sorcery there as well to set it up with the weapon hit.
Night Comet's just easy, nice.
Now that they're separated, it's a little easier to get on top of the guys, because she has a really hard time facing two foes.
Yeah, and it's easier to showcase, the scythe build and the flying aspect. You got that going.
Nice, got him. Good fight. Now let's go find the friend. Draco, we're coming. And you can see we're actually using quite a few irritating spells. The Shard Spiral itself it's
powerful.
It's got great tracking. And then we're using the Stars of Ruin right behind it, followed by the Cannon of Haima.
You're very good with the Cannon of Haima. I've tried messing around with it, and it's like throwing the pots for me. I can't seem to get it right.
It is actually very similar. Yeah, the hitboxes are nearly identical if I'm remembering right.
Yeah, the cannon probably has a slightly larger one as far as the AoE on the damage, but it's a powerful spell. But I love using Stars of Ruin. I mean, it looks like you're just summoning a blast of fairies to come attacking your opponents there.
And that's the point too, right? We want to show all of these little magical spells and these pokes and prods. And I think they're hiding.
And Draco was dealing with those gargoyles, which have dealt a number to me, so I would hide as well.
There he is. Rivers of Blood. Here we go. Okay. Beretta Slash right off the bat.
Yeah, he's in a bad spot because he's built to kind of block with a shield, but again, the scythe just gets around it.
Yeah. And you see we're using our Stars of Ruin here. It's a bunch of little fairies.
They doing their thing.
Got caught again.
The range on that move is crazy.
Send out more fairies.
We got a little bit of backup there.
There it is. Don't sleep on the Reapers, besides.
Yeah. They get around a lot. They got good range. They all have, I think all of them have native bleed on them, and the normal scythe has got plenty of ways you can customize it and make it very effective.
Yeah, like you were saying, I like how it gets around the shield too, so that's another like trickster prankster thing.
Yeah. It's like I said, you're not going to do a ton of outright damage, but you're going to do enough damage consistently that you should be able to finish off people as long as you can stay alive.
Yeah, and she casts pretty quickly.
Yeah.
All right, well let's go get set up for the third invasion.
Yeah. All right. Let's go.
And we're back with Alela, Artful Provocateur. Here we are in the land of the Shadow Tree.
Oh yes. Don't mind me. I'm just praying to the shadows.
We've come for our third and final invasion of the day. So we want to talk about our last two cards we have to offer. The first one being Fairy Artisans.
I know this is one of your favorite blue cards in the world.
It really is. It's because it's a value card and it does a bunch of fun stuff.
What does it do?
Well, it's a 4-drop, 3 colorless, 1 blue spell. It's a creature, a fairy artiser with flying. It's a 2/2 creature. But really what we're more interested about was just trying to represent something in Elden Ring to show us that, right? So we've got Shard Spiral, looks like our twisting fun friends in our fairy artisans artwork.
Yeah, you can kind of see where they could be like spiraling around each other. And the Fairy Artisan card just creates a copy of something that your opponent can put into play creature-wise until another one comes into play. So you got 2 fairies there that are just twirling around, and that's a very powerful spell, especially against large targets that it can hit multiple times, which, like Fairy Artisan, is going to make you multiple different tokens. So
Yeah, and then we've also got Fairy Formation, another staple for an Alela deck. And in this case, it's a 5-drop, 4 colorless, and 1 blue for another creature, a 5/4 this time for a flying fairy, so a much bigger body. It also shows us the Stars of Ruin. We've created ourselves a horde of fairies and they're going out to attack.
yeah, the key part of that card is that you can pay 4 mana, create a 1/1 blue fairy with flying, and then draw a card. So it's pretty good value that you're getting for 4 mana. And Stars of Ruin is one of the strongest spells, I would say, in the game. It gives you a lot of impact damage. And, like you said, it's like a whole horde of fairies just coming out and chasing down their target. It's tricksy. It's got really good tracking. It's kind of hard to avoid. And it's got, average range, I'd say medium to short range, but it does a lot of damage.
Yeah, well, with those 2 spells, we get to put pressure on people, and then we go in for the kill with the rapier if we get the chance. Right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the invasion and kind of tie it all together, see what we get.
Yeah, unleash some spells.
Back on the Altus Plateau, the beautiful land of gold.
Yes.
And I completely mistake this as the guys. There they are.
Yeah, it happens. They're like, who's he talking to?
Let's do some spell casting. A little defense buff, the physic.
Yep, everybody's got to get all their preparations in order. Mind-boggling how that just hit you, but okay.
Yeah, the internet is the internet. You see that frozen needle in combination with the night shard. We're getting all this little plink damage, but it's so fast.
Yeah, especially with the right talismans. Yeah, it poke, prod, got her done.
There's the friend in the background. Is that...
I think it's Jack. I think it said Furl-fingered Jack.
Okay. That's a scary spell.
I mean, he doesn't want to get hit by it, so that track.
Good thing he rolled off too instead of going into that ruin, Stars of Ruin. There goes that Cannon of Hyma. Let's change it up. Got our scythe back out. Oh, good move, good move. I can't get it. Let's try it one more time, I guess. There it is. I took a lot of damage to get that one
but
hit.
that was a good example of the hyper armor on that, and showing that you'll fly up there. You'll still come down with that hit most of the time.
I really enjoy the quick speed of Alela with that rapier.
Yeah, especially if they got a little too weak against piercing armor. You got him.
But we are doing the dance right now.
It was very good back and forth. He did a really good job. I enjoyed watching him transition from a large curved sword to now a fire sword to then a second fire sword.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool setup.
Yeah, very seamless transition.
Yep, little rapier action.
Yeah, such range and that continuous little just bits of damage.
Pokes and prods, my friend. Like the fairies of old. There he goes. We got him pressured a little bit with the spells, but he's not giving in easy. You see, he just punished me for trying to go for that Cannon of Hyma.
It's a powerful spell, but it's a slow one.
Okay, we've got the Glintstone Shard combo with the Night Comet.
That carrying Glintstone is so fun because I love that it just delays itself because you can manipulate the timing of when it's going to go off.
We've got him running. I think at this point we've shown our ability to catch rolls. So let's see if we can make this explode quickly. He had no time to react. Go in for the swoop. There it is. Yeah, she is a nightmare. She's all the wrong things for an invader to be.
Yeah, because it's tricky when you get too close, because the rapier is pretty quick and effective at getting its damage off, but you got a lot of very fast spells that have a lot of like rapid hits, and that are sometimes hard to see and hard to avoid.
Well, as long as you stay away from trying to trade with bigger weapons, I think you're going to be all right with that build.
Yeah, it's a rogue. She's a rogue. She's like a fairy rogue.
But like we said, you're probably going to want that poise as well with that very light armor. And these guys I have on almost every single build. That's the Erdtree's Favor +2 and the Dragon Crest Talisman to physically reduce physical damage a lot. And these two really give every character a much better fighting chance in any evasion. Hey everybody, welcome back. We're in Limgrave this time. Yeah, we're just gonna do some featured invasions, right?
Yes, sir. Let's just jump into it. I mean, we got some pretty exciting ones to watch today, so let's do it.
All right. Well, just to clarify for everybody, we like to do one co-op type invasion. We like to do one blue and one red. So with that being said, let's start our co-op invasion of the episode. Here's me and my wife yet again in Altus Plateau fighting an Iron Virgin.
Yep. Team Harvest Blend going to work.
Why do you say that?
Well, her scarecrow look, her mad pumpkin hat.
Oh yeah, we're festively Halloween. I'll get down with that.
It's horrifying to watch.
So it looks like Aurelius just made his way into our world. Now we gotta go find him. Well, that was easy.
Yeah. Giant glowing red ball of flame and rage.
Yeah, he looks like he likes some blood flame. Alright, Aurelius. What do you got to show us?
Customary bow before combat.
What is that? Is that a hammer?
It looks like a curved sword, but it's hard to tell at this point. Obviously the jellyfish shield, but...
Yeah. Nice. Storm Stomp gets you one in.
God, there's so much fire here. So much.
Oh, and he didn't block. Yep.
Oh, the madness. Oh.
Oh, high five. Yeah, me and my wife's patented high five.
He went mad with rage.
Yeah, good fight, good fight.
Well done, well done. I gotta say, one of the things I like about what has become, I guess, of invasions, because I got into this game pretty late, is it's really neat seeing the first few times I would invade myself. I mean, I was obviously just getting ambushed, 2-3-on-1s, and I'm absolute trash at it, so it's not as fun, obviously, when you're just getting completely murdered. But at that fight, I like that it's kind of become a thing. Don't worry, I can support your weight, it's fine. It's become a thing where people they do like a little customary bow or something cool, and then it kind of signifies like an attempt for like a one-on-one honorable fight or something like that. I like that because it's kind of been like a unspoken rule almost amongst the community for Elden Ring. That way you can...
Yeah, I guess you would just call that etiquette, right?
Yeah, I guess it makes things, more chivalrous.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Compared to just be like, hey guys, I want to fight, and then you get completely murdered in the back bush by 3 people.
Well, this is where we would move on to the blue invasion.
You haven't gotten one yet. That's okay though. If you guys do one, send them in.
Yeah, you guys send one in, we'll put it on the episode, as long as it adheres to the rules of engagement on the outro. But since we don't have that, I guess we get to go right into our red.
All right. Gotta say, the pure weight of your helmet is just daunting.
It's a heavy boy. Now we're in Limgrave for this particular invasion, and it's Kurtstrom, me.
And your favorite curved swords.
Oh yeah, you can see him do some storm work in this episode. Gravity magic is tough.
That was a great addition, having that spell.
I agree. So I've definitely got their aggro, but there's no way I'm going to take all three of them on at the same time. Luckily, he followed.
Right into the storms of Stormvale Castle.
Oh, and he gets the frostbite too because of the storm. Nice.
I do like those like black flame effects on the wax, like the wax cutter abilities on the gargoyle weapons. I do like those.
Yeah, they're pretty neat. I wish they hadn't made them a regular Ash of War so you could put it on anything.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
And the sword to be able to put other stuff on it. Okay, we're trying to find some safety from the projectiles. If one of them comes down here, then we have a better chance.
That's what Anakin thought too. It didn't go well.
And we trade. Oh, too late. Got him with the roll catch. And that just happened to be the host. Close. Good fight, y'all. An Invader's revenge against gankers.
Well done. Obi-Wan from the high ground.
Well, that's it for the featured invasions for today's episode.
Yeah, it was some good fights. Good fights. I think we had pretty good all-around showcasing of different abilities. We got to see some nice stuff with Alela's work and some of your own invasions, of course. So
yeah, well, I had a lot of fun invading with this character. I know you can see more on the channel if you want to check out. I've got a bleed build as well as a tank build, not to mention the pokey build with an endure on Pata. Every once in a while you see me using that Pata, and I made a whole build around it. It's pretty fun.
oh, good deal.
But how about we head back to Castle Sol Ring?
Absolutely back to the icy cold embrace of the north. Alright, here we are back at Castle Sol Ring, where it all began.
Hey!
I hope everyone enjoyed today's episode. What we're going to do is pretty much just wrap it up here. We got to get inside. It's cold on the mountaintop of the giants, so hopefully you enjoyed our deck build. Let us know what your thoughts are on the general Radhan deck list, and if you have any ideas on how you would run it, what you would like to see perhaps thrown into the deck, or how you would build it. Either way, just give us your ideas. Like I say, this is just a showcase of flavorful cards that we found in Magic's history that we put together to hopefully create a deck around one of the great bosses of Elden Ring's lore. So hopefully you enjoyed it.
Yeah, send in your stuff, your ideas. If you guys send in a really good idea, we can possibly turn that into our next character. Maybe not the next one, but maybe 2 or 3 episodes down the line. But bottom line is, we want to see you guys' stuff. That's decks, and we want to see invasions. If you guys are interested in getting your invasion on the channel, just drop us the YouTube link. Follow the rules of the ROE and the outro at the end, and we'll check them out. Try to put them on the show.
Yeah, I mean, we will like and subscribe to everything that we get. We like to have some options to look at. Things have been a little slow to start out right now, but we know there's a lot of people out there that are interested in both Magic and Elden Ring. I can tell you the next episode will not be a viewer submitted one. I already have.
You want to give them a little sneak peek, a little tease?
We're going to be talking about all things that are golden.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, with that, we'll see you guys next time. This has been Castle Sol Ring.
Hey!
See you later.